Oh my goodness, man. What can I say? I got my liquid death here. Just had some Costco cookies. I know it's a vice that's hard to break here. But SMX, how much more exciting is it to watch a stacked field versus, I don't know, a bunch of people that are on the sidelines for moto? I hate to say that, but my point is that I actually really, really enjoy the freaking SMX versus motocross. SMX is much more exciting to watch than moto, like almost to the point where I feel it would be cool to have an SMX at round 7 of Supercross, because yeah, they do take away the whoops and leaving just the speed and the technicality of the rhythm sections, but you don't have the super sketchy whoops there. And so it's just, and it's in a stadium, drag strip, whatever. It's just more entertaining to watch. And this one freaking delivered. I will first go over the pass of what happened with Jett and Tomac here. So we'll watch this. And truthfully, the announcers were saying that it looked like Tomac gave up, and no, he was just covering the line. He's covering the line right here. Jett does a beautiful job on the outside. I gotta take my mouse away because it's making it harder to see here. But yeah, look here. He goes to the inside where Jett gets to go to the outside, and he's covering the line again. He goes to the inside, cuts off his speed right there. And because this is a drag strip, that was it. It left Jett to be able to accelerate out the outside. And then that inside double into the sand was spectacular because truthfully, that sand section sucked. It was always to the inside. Nobody was going to pass. And if Tomac could have just railed the outside in those S's before, Jett wouldn't have been able to double over him because Tomac would have just had the line and he potentially would have won. And I was talking with my friends and we were saying that, like, man, Jett with his thumb injury, potentially, could he just phone it in and get a second place, ease up on points for Sexton, because Sexton started off with 25 points and he would have only lost 3 points because Tomac would have gotten the full 25. It might even only been 2, but you know, those are semantics. The point is, if there's this much money on the line, even though it's $100,000 per race, but there's $1 million to the champion, why don't you let it all hang out at round 2 and 3 where you have double points and triple points? But what did Jett end up doing? He ended up insulting the entire field by proving that he can still hold on to that effing motorcycle, even if his thumb is not attached. Maybe he's just duct taping himself. There is some videos out there about him taping his hand quite a bit, like taping around his thumb, which I thought was interesting because he is only 60 days out of surgery, where guys like Tomac and Webb are, gosh, are they 4 months, 6 months, something close like that? And truthfully, you're a little rusty when you are off on the sidelines. And look at Roxon and look at Webb and look at Tomac when they first came back at the Nationals. They were collectively like 7th and 9th. Yeah, you had Tomac have some podium finishes at race 2, and now he's up front winning, which I got to give it to the old man. Like, dude, that motorcycle, that Star Yamaha on the bottom is just freaking spectacular. Oh, Brian says that we need whoops. I disagree. I disagree for the SMX because it's a hybrid between motocross and supercross, and the bikes are set up so different for whoops. However, I agree with you. I agree with you. And Papa says, I love the concrete slabs all over the track. Wonderful idea. Yeah, all it's going to take is somebody to just get sideways and nail one of those, and it's going to be a bad idea. However, Feld and them, they do put quite a bit of tough blocks around there. I saw Josh Hill talk about what happened with Barsha in practice, because, dude, that was crazy how many guys went down in practice. You had Barsha, you had Malcolm, you had Hunter, you had AP, and Jason Anderson. That was horrible. I don't know why they practice starts for the practice. we've heard my whole idea that was actually from one of the master pools saying having the staggered start where you could have all the guys up front all the time. Yes, it's not as exciting. However, there's so many injuries that happen for the start. So yeah, let me just be the leftist. You can call me the liberal for saying, hey, this is a safety issue, right? I'm still going to vote for Trump 2024 because of crypto and so much other stuff. But I am digressing. That is the word, effing gressing. The point of the matter is you want to see these guys healthy so that you can have some amazing racing as this, because this was awesome. And I am tired of the talk about the freaking scoop tire. It's a cheater tire. If you go out and buy one, you're sacrificing a little bit of sideways lean angle versus straight line speed and just pure traction, right? Because the knobbies are just bigger. It's pure, just, I want to say physics, because that's what it is. I was going to say something poorly like mathematics, but that's going to make me sound stupider than I actually am. And maybe, right? I have had quite a few concussions, more than I can count, and I can't count very high. But anyway, touche, joke against myself. The point is, Tomac had straight line speed because of that scoop tire. He wasn't able to scrub as well as, if you can see on my thumbnail, between Jett just hauling effing butt and having that bike go sideways. And I'm going to go over all that stuff in this week's analysis video because it just blew my effing mind. But it was because of that scoop tire. But the straight line speed at a speedway track helped Tomac considerably, right? And so that's something that we just need to let demons lay die for that whole ideology on stuff. If it was only meant for sand, you would not put a sand tire on a track that has 10% sand on it. It wouldn't make any physical sense, right? You even saw Sexton cut the tires to try to get that little bit more of grip, right? And then there's this whole argument between 110 and 120 tire. These factory bikes have got so much torque that a 110 tire is just literally going to almost spin the valve stem right out of that. It's not going to feel stable at speed. There's no way in hell that you're going to have a drag strip. You look at cars, for instance, they are gigantic as far as thickness, right? So you're not going to put a smaller circumference tire on a bike that is going to do 60, 70 miles an hour down these darn drag strips. And I will get to some of the comments here because I see you guys are pumping them out. So I appreciate it. You know, Adam says, a little rusty, Jett stainless steel made service rust. Yeah, dude, I'm completely blown away at Jett, how just so much better he is versus the competition, because it wasn't really until Moto 2 that he really put it down, because it was for the overall and he needed those extra couple points and he didn't need to just go completely out of his way. Because if I go back to this pass here, right, and if we look at it, and maybe I can zoom in just a bit so you guys can see a little bit more. Tomac's doing a wonderful job because it's a single track within that S turns, but he cuts it up. He goes to the inside where Jett has the acceleration on the outside. And that's what created the pass for him, was because of how long the straightaways were. And then he just puts the insult in because he ends up jumping the massive double into the sand, which nobody else was able to do. But back to that 110 whole thing, you know, I've got a Triumph review coming out, and that was one of my big problems with the Triumph, was that it came stock with a 100. And it really should be a 110 tire, because the smaller it is, it's just the sketchier the bike is for sure. But I am a huge Tomac fan, and that has changed over the years. You know, I want to see this SOB succeed, and I want to see him dominate. I want to see him go to Motocross of Nations, but it's cool that AP is going. But for Jett to come back and win where the other guys came back and were 7th to 9th, it is a gigantic statement. And even for Sexton, to where Sexton is going, oh crap, I can't beat these guys. And it's a bummer for Hunter to be that. Oh, Carter Gray got DQ'd. I'll have to look at that. Because I wanted to say something about Carter Gray, just how incredibly fast that 65 rider was, the jumps that he was doing, and then the balls of steel and the cojones, you know, that's the same thing. to be able to crash over some of those big jumps in practice and then get back up and still win the race. I need to do some more look at that because oh, okay. Carter got DQB instructed not to jump the finish line for safety reasons. Interesting. That is going to be interesting. I might have to text some people because take away from a 65-year-old that wins the race because of that. I hope that's not actually true. But getting back at it, because I appreciate you guys commenting, because that would be a big bummer, because you got Jaden Smart there, and those bikes look like Suzuki's, but they were actually, Cobras. And Cobra is just owning. They own the 50 class, and now it appears that they've got a cheater 65 that's owning everything, right? We say cheater, but we all know that little bikes, it's all about pumping out how much horsepower. You got a stroker in it, or you got a big bore in it. You're doing something to make illegal race fuel. You're doing something to those little bikes, right? It isn't taking away anything from the actual riders themselves because they're very talented, but if you have a bike that is incredibly fast and it's the fastest one on there, it just leads to confidence and that's a good segue to the confidence of Juju with him getting good starts, both motos, and out front winning for quite a while. We're going to see that little stinker pot up front again. But I will have to say that him being 18 years old and then having the whole ideology of he can't use a cell phone, I'm kind of like, he's 18. He can go to war. In a lot of states, he can buy cigarettes. He can be tried as an adult. He could have his effing phone if he so chooses to. It's not like he's 17 years old. So that I thought was a little comical. But hey, whatever lights a fire under these guys, and if he can be disciplined enough to say, hey, I'm not going to have my phone if I don't finish third. It's the same reason why guys decide not to shave until they get on the podium or something. You need to have some sort of an incentive, for Deegan. He said it on, my buddy Jace's podcast, saying that he's motivated by money, and power to him. A lot of men with egos are really motivated by money, especially guys with red personalities. It's that FU style attitude, and that's exactly what Deegan has, and it's what we need. And he's basically has the entire field by the tail. Everyone is scared of him. They almost get out of his way. He was ninth, both motos after the start, and then just blows by everybody on considerably a fairly one-line track. Yes, this track was somewhat one-lined. However, it was more exciting to watch. I was more hyped to watch this. Maybe it was because of having everybody healthy again versus some of the moto stuff. And I'm a huge motorsport fan. I watch all of it, man. I even watch trials and all that crap because, I don't do that. I wouldn't buy a trials bike. So if I offend you because I think it's kind of stupid, it's kind of like riding a quad. It still shows a lot of bike control. That's like that Unbeatable Bonzuke show that used to be on G4 or something, where they had the bicycles. Just blows my freaking mind. A lot of times the trial stuff blows my freaking mind. But however, something that I don't find that attractive to do is that kind of stuff, right? But I am digressing here. If I'm talking more about the 250 class, is Kitchen, man, dude, almost won the 250 Supercross, and then he's kind of getting his butt kicked by the likes of Deegan. Is this going to be another I want to say Justin Cooper type deal, or Marvin Muscan, where you're just constantly the bridesmaid because you're second fiddle to a dude that's coming up? And truthfully, Deegan is one of those guys that has the talent and the confidence. If you look at Ricky Carmichael, he didn't really have the talent, but he had the work ethic and the confidence, and boom, that created the GOAT, the best rider of all times. And he will even say that. And that's most impressive is Deegan's just FU attitude towards everybody. But here, I'm going to take just a few more minutes to look at some of the comments and have you guys be a part of the channel. But I'm completely stoked at the Super Motocross Championship, and I've got my press pass set up for Vegas, so that should be interesting. I will definitely have to go down there. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, okay. Sky said Deegan Hampshire was yelling at me during qualified. Don't do that. That's okay. That right there is you got somebody that's 17, 18. I'd have to look to see how old Deegan is. He's got to be freaking close to 18. Maybe he's even 19, right? Maybe he's even 19. Anyway, somebody's going to tell me. Oh, and you guys are commenting a little bit more about the Carter Gray thing, which I want to get to. Hampshire's got 2 kids. He's in his 30s, right? Qualifying is don't kill me. It's just qualifying. You already got the points lead. Like, let's not go in here and die over qualifying. That's that whole ideology of just being a young kid where nothing can go wrong. But here, White Knight says Carter Gray and Talon Hinson docked 2 position for jumping violations according to the SMX results. Ooh, okay. I'm going to have to look that up, dude, because it's too dangerous to jump a jump. You're going to DQ somebody for jumping a jump. Like, okay, that to me, he took 3rd. Okay, so he was docked, right? White Knight 124. So they didn't take away the entire race, but they docked him because he was jumping jumps that you had to have cojones to do to try to keep everybody safe. I don't know. I somewhat have a problem with that. If you're going to put a little group of kids on little bikes, because most of those jumps, they shouldn't really be able to jump. I used to have my pro card, and you're not going to see me hop on a 65 and do most of those things. I'm going to be like, F you, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to drink some beer and go to the stands. I'm not going to be participate in this because it's a 1-trip ticket to the hospital. With that being said, the point is, why would you dock these kids for jumping stuff? If you told them don't jump that and they bust it out, dude, it's reverse psychology. You tell the kids not to jump something. It's like telling the kid don't sneak out. What is he going to do? He's probably going to sneak out, right? I mean, there's been even some accusations since I want to say this, Mary Jane has been approved. Well, you've got less people using that substance as a gateway for stuff because it's legal. You could argue both ways statistically. It's probably not a good argument for me to make something like that. But, dude, the fact that, yeah, he had the cojones to jump on a 65, that kid is my hero. He's my effing hero, dude. I didn't even know about Jaden Smith until last year when he was hucking the triple on that sucker. That is freaking crazy. Okay, so Donnie says that Matt Burkeen, I'll have to text Matt saying that he was DQ'd. Whether or not he was, whatever it was, DQ'd, this is live. I haven't looked completely at it. This was the reaction to the races, and we're reacting to it, right? But for him to lose the win, potentially, if that so said is true, allegedly get docked or DQ'd because of a violation, even on the broadcast, everyone was like saying James Stewart and Carmichael was saying, is he going to huck the finish line? Is he going to huck the finish line? And he didn't at it. So that is a problem. Okay, so White Knight, you've been quite a bit of interactive on the channel here. I guess the rules rating things. No one wants to see a 7, 12-year-old kid get wrecked. Yeah, he did it, dude. But the point is, if you don't want to see them jump the stuff, don't have them ride a track that has those kind of big jumps on there. Could you imagine trying to tell Tomac and Deegan that step on, step off quad? Oh, you're DQ'd if you do the quad. I know we built it, but you're DQ'd. Nobody wants to see that. Everybody wants to see bigger, stronger, faster, right? James Stewart, even on the broadcast, said that his dad, Big James, would tell him, why aren't you doing that? You should go do that. And James would go knock his teeth out. That's exactly what he said on, supposedly, like maybe bits and pieces of it, not word for verbatim, but it was close enough. That's what he said. So for that point, I'm going, all right, I might need to find out exactly what happened, because that's honestly a bigger story. You take away the gigantic feeling of, dude, I am the best 65 rider in the world because of that. And regardless if he was the only rider doing it, worse if he was still the only rider doing it, because you're telling him to stop doing it. Okay, I will tell you one story, right? I was racing against, gosh, I forget. They went on to do Moto America stuff and one rider MotoGP, but it was the silly supermoto Honda deal with the 100s, and you were going to win a motorcycle, and I was out front and I took a kid out, and really he should have just stopped. I believe, okay, this is what it was. It was JD Beach, young kid. He was out front. I took his front wheel out, and they were telling me I was racing for a damn dirt bike, right? I was going to get an XR 100 at 12 years old. So I was willing to ride a little aggressive, right? So what happened? They restarted the effing race. This was the AMA Supermoto stuff. They restarted the race. They made me start from the front row to like the third row, and they told me, Johnny, you're going to get disqualified if we see one more infraction. So sensitive Johnny out here was like, it ruined my entire race. I ended up fourth when I should have won it because they should have never restarted the damn track because I ended up taking some kid's front wheel out. Like, it's just a soft, it's a wokeism, right? And that was back in 2002. So this is really, really sad to see if he got DQ'd for something like that, because again, I'm taking way too much time on this, but if you're not going to let kids jump the gigantic jumps on motorcycles that potentially have the power to jump them, regardless of their wheel circumference, if they have the cojones, people in the stands bought tickets to see this, right? You're putting them up against the best other kids in their age group because they're the best kids in the country. It's an invite only, and you tell them they can't jump this. I have a problem with it. That's unfortunate. That's just silly. Don't build a different track for them then, but then that's really soft, right? Okay, enough. Yeah, Tim Cross says, every time I roll Tomac out, he slaps me in the face. And Sky says, Hayden amplifies the little things people say to fuel him. Kobe, MJ, all do the same thing. Yeah, dude, these guys are masters of their craft. They live, breathe, and sacrifice so much to be at the top, and it's cool to watch. It's really cool to watch. And I guess I will end with, that is really a bummer if what's said is true about Carter Gray, because you're taking away the confidence of a little person, and these subtle minds, these kids should be congratulated rather than held back. We tell our kids, you can be an astronaut, you can be a doctor, you can be president if you want. Who cares if it's true or not? You let their imagination run wild. We do not hold them back. We hold them at freaking 420th gear, and you let them effing go. It's that YOLO style. So anyway, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, Donnie, exactly. If you put the kids on the track, let them ride at their level, right? But I guess safety is a big thing, but this is a kid that has proven that he can jump the stuff. It'd be okay with it, right? I mean, it's that whole Monster Million stuff. You dangle $1 million in front of somebody's going to do something stupid, right? So it is a potentially tone that needs to change for that. But anyway, it's Saturday night. I got other stuff to do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and just keep it pinned. Keep it WFO. Oh, and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because I am dropping some pretty sick videos this week, along with the podcast that is Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern.